look at these delicious fried plantains. What's a plantain? What's a plantain? Chef Buck here, and today we're gonna cook up some plantains. Or a plantain. I'm just gonna do one, because all I have is this one overly ripe one. When I bought this, it wasn't this ripe. This is pretty black. Now you can get them pitch black. I like to buy one that's more yellow, and it was more yellow 2 days ago, but boom, really darkened up. But that's fine. If this was like a regular banana, like a dessert banana, you know, it'd just be all mush inside. But this is still gonna have some texture. A plantain is just a banana. Because this is ripe, I could eat this raw. But usually you cook a plantain.
They're more starchy.
Yeah, this one's super duper starchy. Now this is a green plantain. Now this is a banana, but this is like an unripe banana. This is like a cooking banana. This isn't sweet at all. This is gonna be super sweet. And this is super starchy, like a potato. You can see on the label here, it says plantain and it says Nicaragua, Nicaragua. They're suggesting that you grill it. And on this one right here, they're suggesting that you bake it. You know, so you wanna cook these. I like to boil these. Slice them, you just throw them in with the peels and boil them up, and then you can use it just like a potato. But this here, on this label here, it says bake me. But we don't need to cook this here. They put that label on here when it was green. But now it is overly ripe, so we're just gonna fry it up. We're gonna get to some action now. Knife means action.
Super ripe plantain action.
Ripe, super ripe. But we're gonna go ahead and cut the ends off. Boom, 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 and then I'm gonna slice it right down the middle, or along the side. And then this is very easy to peel off. Super duper easy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's see, I can just cut off a chunk here and eat it.
How is it compared to a regular banana?
It's not as sweet as a regular banana. It's gonna be very sweet once we start to cook it up, because it's got a lot of sugar in here as it's ripening. But it's not as sweet as a regular dessert banana. But I like to cut it in half, and then I'm gonna cut it into some planks. And we're just gonna fry these up in a skillet with some oil. But let me go ahead and heat some oil up on a skillet.
And so these aren't as mushy as what people might be used to in terms of a banana.
If you bought a black banana, dessert banana, that was this dark, you know, it would just be falling apart. And this is pretty soft. I usually don't buy them this soft. Well, like I said, I didn't buy this one this soft, but it's really ripened up over the last couple of days. But this still has a lot more texture than you would get from a regular dessert banana. But I'm gonna get a skillet and put it on medium heat. I'm just gonna put a little bit of coconut oil in here. And you can tell we're back in Florida, boy. Look at that coconut oil. If we were in Seattle, you know, this would be solid. But we're in the land of humidity. So we'll go ahead and take a few moments to just heat our oil. And you can fry up your plantains just like this, plain. Because there's a lot of sugar in here because they're ripe. So there's gonna be plenty of sweetness and flavor. Some recipes, especially when you get these out in a restaurant, they'll have added sugar, a little bit of brown sugar or just processed white sugar. But I don't think these need any more sweetness than they already have. But I do like to add a little seasoning. I'm gonna add some red pepper and a little bit of cinnamon. But I like to add a little bit of pepper just to give it a little savory element. I think my oil is hot enough right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide my plantain in here. Boom, boom, boom. Be careful putting them in there. And you don't put flour, you don't bread your plantains, you don't do anything like that at all. Just throw them in there, all natural. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of cinnamon on top. This is optional, you don't have to put anything on here at all. Then a wee little bit of chili pepper, chili powder,
crazy man,
cayenne pepper, whatever kind of seasoning you want. That's all. I'll leave these two kind of plain for you, camera girl. How's that?
Spicy buck.
And you want to make sure your oil is hot enough that when you put your plantains in here, you know, it starts sizzling right away. And now we're just going to brown them on either side, and that's all there is to it. You know, even though these are plantains, they're ripe enough. You can eat them raw, but just cooking them a little bit, frying them, caramelizing a little bit of that sugar on the outside, just makes it extra tasty. Alrighty, let me look and see how this is doing. Not too much color. I'm going to let it go for a few more moments. Another couple of minutes maybe. We'll go ahead and flip them over. Boom, boom, boom. You want to be careful flipping these. I'm especially macho, so I can do it like this here. But if you're a typical softie, not as macho as me, you want to be a little more careful. But just get a nice little golden color on there like that. And these cook up super fast. Now if you wanted to cook the green plantains, you know, like I said, I like to boil these. You know, I like to just cut them into segments, throw them in a pot of boiling water, let them boil for about 20 minutes. And then this is going to be very starchy and unsweet. And then you can use these plantains any way you would use a potato. You know, it's just a great little ingredient. But that's very savory, whereas this is very sweet and desserty. You know, I think this would be really good, just like this here, and then if you put some ice cream on it. But otherwise, I prefer them in a savory dish, or paired with a savory dish.
You could also use like a Greek yogurt.
Oh yeah, definitely. But if you're going to get plantains for frying like this here, you know, make sure and get the ones that are already ripe. I think that's enough color. You know, you could definitely let them go a little bit longer if you wanted to. You know, sometimes I'll cook them for too long and they'll get extra dark and even a little crunchy, and I kind of like them like that. But sometimes I like them kind of gooey and soft like this here. But just put them on some paper towels and let them drain a little bit. And while my oil's hot here, I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple of eggs in here for the rest of my dish. Because plantains are really great with rice and eggs. I'm not going to have any rice though. So I'm going to serve my plantains with a little bit of greens. And this here is just a little meat mixture I made with some roast. My mother made a roast. I'll put a link to that recipe. But I like having plantains served with some spicy meat. And I'm going to throw some eggs on here. And I'm going to take my plantains. And there you have it. A little sweet and a little meat with some eggs and some greens. And Camera Girl, she's just having dessert. So she's just going to have some plantains all on their lonesome. Now, what would you rather eat? Would you rather have this fancy pants dish here, or just plain plantains?
Come on, man. It depends on what you just ate. I've already eaten.
See, I don't want this sweet all by itself. I want some sweet and some savory.
Yay!
So this is your favorite way to eat plantains, isn't it?
Just plain. Uh-huh. Like you said, a little bit of caramelization. Nirvana.
All right, look how fantastico. I tell you, eggs and plantains are a great combination, I think. But they're just too sweet by themselves for me. I like a little savory component. But they are super delicious on their own. But if you want to print this recipe, you know, head on over to myfoodchannel.com. I'll have a couple other plantain recipes over there. There's a link down below. Sign up for our mailing list over there. Thanks for watching and trying the recipes out. And we'll see you in the future.